Hello, everyone. My name is Professor Mercer. This is the spring term of 2022, and this is Biological Anthropology Laboratory, Anthropology 141L. Welcome to the class. So generally this course, no, not generally, this is a completely asynchronous course, but I'm going to try to give you some times in which you can actually effectively meet with me and the rest of the class. There's an optional, highly optional sort of Zoom meetings, which we're going to be doing this term. So if you do see announcements about, optional Zoom meetings coming forth, no, everything's, you don't have to be there. And all that material will also be recorded in the cloud recording section for you to look at some other time if you don't want to be there. Now, additionally, we're going to be offering, I'm going to be offering some Zoom office hours, which are really going to be times in which I can better explain the material. For those of you guys that are a little rusty on what's going on, or a little behind of the material, or would like a little second go through, I'll be offering office hours at least once or twice a day, maybe twice a week for you guys to come in and drop in. And we'll be looking at that in just a moment and explaining how the course works as I share the syllabus. So I'm going to go do a screen share of the syllabus at this point. So if you want to break it up to yourself, it's fine. If not, we can just look at it as I actually move through it. Okay. All right, here we go. We're looking at the syllabus now. All right. So those are our meeting dates. The course goes, from this week. Hopefully you're watching on the first day, the 24th, or maybe not sometime during this week. The last day will be May 20th. So all of our work has to sort of be in by May 20th. So sort of leave that as that target date to make sure all the stuff is done in the class. Next is information how to get a hold of me. Really the best thing to do is actually use just the Canvas inbox. Use your regular Canvas inbox, because that stuff gets to me directly. Just students use Canvas, not the rest of the administrators and all the rest of the world is trying to get me to do stuff too. So if you use my campus email, regular email, what you see there, it gets buried under a lot of other stuff. As I sequentially move through, it may take a while to get a hold of you or get back to you, a day or two. If you use the Canvas, it'll be pretty fast, within half an hour. Now, the next way is my voice or text number. And there it is right there, the 925 number, 335-6298. You might want to put that in at least your contact list temporarily for this term. Because I'm going to try to be as available as possible for you, guaranteeing you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, that, if I see your phone number within a couple of minutes, I'm going to get back to you. I'm going to be watching it like a hawk during those particular periods of time. Now, in the evening, Monday through Friday, you can try. I'm a night owl. I sleep like 1 o'clock. So you're welcome to call late or text late. That's not an issue to me. So please don't feel like you're going to be bothering me. It's just I'm cooking dinner, taking care of the kids, putting them to bed, doing all the stuff that dad's going to have to do. But if I see your message coming in or something, I will at some point in the evening get back to you, maybe not be on that spot. And that the same thing with the weekends. I'm going to have a lot more things I have to do with the spring as the things get warmer and the kids need to get stuff done. And I might be out to soccer and stuff like that. They have it this year. I hope they do. But if I'm out away at these sort of outings and I see a text come in or a phone call come in, I will eventually, sometime during that day or on the weekend, get a hold of you, maybe later in the evening, but I will get back to you. Okay. So my priority is answering your questions and helping you in the class. So I take that seriously. You take it seriously too. Like if it was before an exam, make sure you get a hold of me so I can really help you with this sort of material. All right. Now, officially, our meeting, our office hour meetings. That's totally things you don't have to go to if you don't want to. But how I'm using office hours is sort of, you guys drop anytime you want. I'll be explaining, critical material from the course. Since it'll be Mondays from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And generally I do record those meetings, but if it's something you guys want to talk to me about, in a separate meeting room, we can do that. If it's, personal stuff or stuff you want to talk one-on-one about, that's of course is not recorded whatsoever. Okay. But generally those office hours will be. So if you can't attend them, you can go in the cloud recordings of Tech Connect Zoom, and you can see those things that'll be listed by date on when those recordings took back. So you can go back and have a look at that information so you don't feel left out if you can't get there at that time. All right. So other ways to communicate in the course, not just between, me and you guys, but how about between each other? And what I've done is I've left the people tab open as well as the chat communications tab open in your list of links over here in your browser. You'll see that. So in the people, you can see everybody's in the class, maybe people that you know, And with the chat function, you can like hit that and chat with other people if you like too, about the class, what's going on, about assignments. You can even share information about assignments and projects, whatever you have going on, as well as the labs yourself. And I emphasize that because I want you guys to get together and work together as much as you possibly can, especially during the time of COVID. No one wants to get stuck away from school or, home alone, without some sort of contact. So I really, implore you guys to get out there and contact each other, and don't be afraid to sort of collaborate. I'm actually wanting that to sort of happen. All right. Now, the class itself. So this is the laboratory component, of biological, anthropology. So concurrently, you're either enrolled in a biological anthropology course or you've had one in the past. The laboratory course is really designed to sort of give you a perspective of more of how we operate, as scientists, as actual scientists, how we think about the world, bringing you into, how we actually think about the global world in itself, the human involvement in it, human evolution, is an element of life that has evolved. How do we approach that? How do we think about it? And then ultimately, what do we do in our praxis, our activities, and the way that we think about it? That's really what this lab is about. Now, what we have is a lab, unfortunately, that is, not what we call a wet lab. We can't be in the classroom to sort of touch and feel, and be part of a lot of the componentry of what we do. So I've devised ways in which, I can try to share with you some of those major ideas and sort of the things that we do some visual stuff and some activities which you can do at home that don't require any material whatsoever, sort of allow you to think what it'd be like, is a biological anthropologist, doing their job. And of course, we like to do this the most. People love teaching the labs most because this is really what attracts students to our discipline. Everyone's trying to do that. I mean, everyone falls in love with their discipline, whether you're humanities or business or, it doesn't matter where your language is, economics, everybody loves what they do. And of course I do too. I just love this to death. I want to show you what I do for a living. If I was back out practicing in the field again, what life was like. So to give you a flavor of that in case you'd like to do it yourself. All right. Okay. So one of the things about how we're going to go about this and what sort of materials that we need. A great majority of what you're going to be needing is already online. I'm not going to have your, buy laboratory manuals. They're extremely expensive. I've been able to recruit different sources here or there. So for you, so really what you need is just one small text, and that's The Story of Earth by Robert Hazen. And that's it. You can get the hardback version. Of course, you can get the Kindle version, the notebook version, anything you can find out there. And I think the last time I saw it was around $15. I mean, I get my copies for free, so I don't watch, the metrics on the price of the book, but I think 15 is a target value. And you'll need that one right away. That's the one thing you want to get a hold of. So if you haven't got the hard copy already, just grab one of the electronic versions and it'll work just fine. Now, there is an additional recommended book that I did not put on the book list. It's just there to think about, because you're going to be doing a project, an Earth timeline project. It's not even due to the end of the class. And some students have found out that this prehistoric life book has helped. My feeling is that all the information in that prehistoric life book will be automatically folded in this course, and some of the online references I can give you for it automatically, and more of a distributed sort of format. That sort of concentrates everything down together. Additionally, that book, while it's pretty good as like a recommended, it's hard to find. DK Publishing is like do-it-yourself publishing. Some guy here just, well, actually, Darlene Kentley, she published this book sort of on her own and didn't make a whole lot of copies of it. As good as it is, there aren't many out there, so it can be difficult to find. So that's why I really haven't used it as a required book. But if you find it, you have some extra cash, go ahead. But it won't give you much advantage in the course. Believe me, that's really what students have told me too. I'm just out there in case you want a little something extra. If you're one of those kind of people that want the extra stuff all the time, go find that one. If you could find it yourself out there on Amazon somewhere. Okay. Now, the rest of the stuff provided text. Yeah, those are some small little readings and papers that I'll have every once in a while in our assignments, the stuff that I actually provide for you. So nothing else you're going to have to pay for in this class. All right. So grading. Everybody wants to know how they're going to be graded. Well, here's the thing. It's pretty straightforward. That there are 9 lab assignments. That's it. And And really, those things only take you a couple of hours each to do it, only 9. What are you gonna do the rest of the 15 weeks? Well, the rest of the 15 weeks, we're really gonna be concentrating on a larger project called our Earth's History Timeline, in which you get to take some of the information we're talking about in class and then sort of unfold the history of Earth, the origins of Earth, the origin of life, and the stages leading up to humans, and actually put them on an electronic sort of format, timeline, something like, PowerPoint or all the other things you guys would do with three-dimensional. You kids do all sorts of wonderful stuff today, but you don't have to. Just some basic, easy timeline you can actually put together, recording where we're tracking through the class, the history of Earth and time. And that's worth a pretty good amount, a pretty good chunk of change of the points there, 60 points out of the 270. And most students do very well on that one. So that really gives a little beef up on your grades. Okay. Now, in addition to the 60-point Earth timeline or history timeline project, the 9 lab assignments, those are worth 10 points each. We have 4 quizzes, and those are at the end of each one of the 4 modules. The core parts of the course are broken into 4 different components, and they're multiple choice quizzes, and they're 30 points each. Each one is not cumulative. It just pinpoints the stuff in that module only, and that includes the final. The final is not cumulative. Also, I believe that's sort of wrong. I think about it as I used to, have these long 17, semester, week classes that I've turned before at other colleges. And my God, after you get these 17 weeks, you have to remember what happened to the first week of class, on a final exam. I just didn't think that was a really fair approach to learning. So we're just going to be, working, module by module by module. So nothing cumulative, and all that stuff is pretty much, multiple choice. There's nothing more, much more difficult about that. Okay. So really, what the effort really wants to put into is the Earth timeline as well as your laboratory assignments. Okay. So there is the grading sort of scheme I have there. It's all done on points. So you can always know what your points are. If you total up the points you have so far versus the points possible, so you always know what your grade is in the class. At any point where you really want to know how you're doing, let me know and I'll do it for you. So to get the coveted A, everybody wants the coveted A usually. What do you have to do? Well, 243 points out of the 270. So what happens if you get 242 points? Well, you're out of luck. No, I'm just kidding you. It depends. Normally what happens is, if you're really close to that line of course, I'll move you up. And additionally to this, if you look up above the grading here at the very top line I have here, it says the typical curves in the class, where I'll see, actually there's something wrong here. It says the A's 40 to 45%. No. I usually have, 25 to 30% to 28% A's, 40 to 45% B's, to 15% C's. So what happens is, if I don't, say I get, I only get like 18% A's, what I will do is I will drop the point requirements for the A's lower and lower and lower till I at least get, 24 to 25% A's. Same thing with the B's. If you 40% of you or a few of you get B's in the class, I'm just going to keep dropping the requirements, the point requirements to get at least 40 to 45% of you in there. Typically, students do fairly well in my lab, particularly during COVID. So that's generally not an issue. Okay. And then, if I do see other depressed scores or maybe you've had some hard times in the class, the other things happen to you or something, I'll throw out some extra credit. So I'll give you the ability to sort of work, and bring your grade up if you need to. If you're willing to fight, I'm willing to fight with you to do whatever I can to sort of help you. If you stay with me, I'll stay with you and try to help you get whatever grade that you need. Okay. So one thing about adds and drops here too, which is right below the grading thing here, try to stay away from dropping after the W date. So yeah, you can once the official drop date ends and now you have to go to withdraw period, even if you drop with a W, it doesn't count as a GPA issue. What will happen is, if you accumulate too many W's on your record, this is what becomes problematic if you want to transfer to a competitive school. Right. So, I was a victim of that. I went to Foothill College way back in the early 80s, and I had like 31 W's. I would drop all the time. I wasn't going to get the grade. I just dropped at the very end in the W period. And of course, some of the better institutions turned me down because I was a higher risk. They calculate it takes you too long to get through school, so they don't want you at the competitive schools, particularly in your last 30 units. So if you want out of the class, try to get up before that W date. That's just for your own benefit. Okay. For those of you, as far as DSS or other disabilities, have any issues, let me know right away. And I'll set everything up for the extended time for testing and anything else I need to do for you. So, you can go ahead and just send those, little messages to me that campus. I don't have to wait for the DSS people. I believe you. Just tell me what you need, and I'll put those in the testing. So there's no snafus or screwed up. I know how problematic that can be when you need to have something for accessibility and it's not there for you. I just want to take care of that as fast as possible. Okay. All right, so as far as course policies are concerned here, as far as integrity is, well, there's not going to be integrity issues in a course like this. Labs are labs. I mean, as long as you're doing them and turning them in, you're doing them and turning in. I mean, quizzes are quizzes. I mean, there's their time quizzes. There are not many questions, and I mean, there's just integrity is not an issue. We're not going to be doing any long papers. Are they worried about sort of plagiarism? What I really consider academic integrity is that you just learn, take the class to learn. That's really what it means to me. That integrity means you're here in school to learn. As long as you sort of keep that on the books and the head, the reason you're doing this is to learn. You don't have to worry about any ethics issues whatsoever. That's really what I believe in. Okay. All right. Now, as far as interaction online, let's just be kind to each other. If you jump into the office hours and things are going on, let's just be civil and kind to each other. I know, tempers are sort of fuming. Like if you look at the airlines that are happening right now, just be kind. That's really what it means, interaction, just be kind. Late assignments and late exams. Yeah, I give late exams and stuff. Just let me know why. And let's not take them too much. Like if you need a day or two, fine. But if you're going to be extended more than a week, don't, because you'll fall behind on the next material. Now, of course, if you're ill, I mean, you get like a serious illness, get an accident, or you get like COVID, oh my gosh, and you're extended, yeah, of course, I'm going to give you as much time as possible to make stuff up. But if you do need to make stuff up, let's try to do it as quickly as possible. So you don't have to keep worried about the stuff that's behind you. You can focus on stuff that you're working with currently. It's just better for you if you actually do that. Okay, all right. So how are we going to start the course and what are we going to do? Well, the first things is I like to sort of start slowly. All right, so our first quiz is going to be on February 22nd. So we've got like a whole month to even think about the first quiz. And really, there isn't any labs due. There's no work that you have to do to turn in. That's the way I sort of start my courses up. Most of the stuff's right in the middle. That's it. Most of the middle, that it sort of falls off at the end. So now's the time you're getting oriented to school, getting out your classes going on. You don't need to have a lot of work to do. And at the end, while you got like physics going on and chemistry going on and big English papers and research papers, you don't need to be burdened by a lot of stuff you have to do at the end either. So our sort of stuff's right in the middle of the class, right? Where you can use a lot of the holidays and stuff to sort of catch up if you need to. So right now, let's start slow. Sort of get some background information about how we sort of operate. So a lot of viewing assignments here, all right? And some reading too, a little bit of reading. So the first things I want you to do, and for this week, is watch the videos. There are links to the videos in Module 1. So work through the module and you'll see those video links. Why are we here in Life's Rocky Start? Life's Rocky Start is narrated by the author of the textbook, The Story of Earth. That's the one you're reading by Robert Hazen. Robert Hazen, this is actually his little mini sort of introduction to the book, a synopsis of the book in itself. And it's essentially through this book and that film, you'll be actually working on an Earth timeline, breaking down what he's saying in his book and in his film, and sort of making your own sort of accounting to understand how Earth arrived here, how life arrived in some of the first forms leading to us. That's really some of the goals. Is sort of get some of that background information on it, how you'd like to extrapolate the information. All right. Now, one thing I want to say about the textbook, The Story of Earth, is that Robert Hazen is a physicist. He's a serious geochemist is what he is. And he teaches at Carnegie Mellon University. I actually know the guy. I went to University of Pittsburgh. At the time, he was teaching right down the street. It's in Oakland. Oakland is a borough of Pittsburgh, where both these schools are at, right? So Hazen's very famous there. So when he, has his talks, everybody runs down there, even as anthropology type. So I've met him. He's quite entertaining, but he's also, a geochemist. So what I want you to do is think about the information he presents in the book, which is geochemist-like, and he can't help it. He goes overboard sometimes with chemistry. It's just what he does. Even though he's trying to write a little reader for the general public to go to sort of look at, he still lays in the chemistry. And that's not what this course is about. I don't care about the chemistry. Here's the deal. I have a degree in chemistry. That was my undergraduate degree from University of California, chemistry, right? And I'm interested in that kind of stuff, but you don't need any of it. So anything that deals with chemistry, just skip in that book. It just doesn't matter whatsoever. Look at the generalized things in which he's talking about, generalized sort of aspects. Now, I'll be having other videos which I'll be embedding in these assignments, which I'll be talking about a little bit too, so you can see the depth that you need actually to take out of it. It's not much. We want to talk some of the generalities of what's going on. Okay. All right. And of course, Life's Rocky Start is a film. Will be there to sort of give you that consumer view about how far you should go as far as your level of understanding. Right? So that's our first sort of week's worth of assignments I want you to sort of do. Now, as far as next week and the week after, we'll be talking about the larger project that we have, which should be actually really fun, and then how we construct that. And I've got some, I've got at least 5, I know, examples of students that have done that, ranging from, C's to B's all the way up to top level projects that I have in there that you can click and download. You can use as templates also as you build your project for your own. So you're definitely not alone on this. And in fact, I've had actually students, one of my favorite students last term, like didn't do the project till like 2 days to class end. And I'm like, Jesus, it was Shelly. I was like, what are you doing? She goes, I can do this, Mercer. I'm like, she knocked it out in 6 hours. So she did the whole thing in 6 hours. And then yes, she got an A. Right. So, it doesn't have to be that intensive project. I'd rather you guys not wait till the end of the term to do this, sort of move along as the course proceeds. It works a lot easier that way. And it also helps you, learn a little bit better too from the project versus sort of cramming in all the way at the end. All right. So, the last part of the modules are sort of getting towards that, that second week in February, really talks a lot about sort of more of the advanced parts of life, as we become vertebrates and things with vertebrates, what sort of, trajectory do we take? When did it actually happen? So those are sort of the viewings that I have with it right there. Okay. Now, as we get to that point, of course, there'll be more embedded videos that explain, what you should be looking at, explain some of the films, explain some of the readings which you're looking at. And of course, I'm going to be there with my, completely optional Zoom, meetings for you guys to jump in and ask questions if you want at that time. Right. So I want you guys to get going and have fun with this, and hit me up if you have any questions whatsoever in this term. So I hope you guys just enjoy this information, okay? And let's just have a good time. And if you're feeling stressed about anything or behind, let me know. I'm your #1 source to get you guys going off the ground, and I'll help you in any way possible.